Since its inception in the early 80s, hip-hop's youth have consistently gravitated toward alternative and DIY approaches to the use of technology. This unique approach was originally out of necessity due to a variety of factors, mostly socio-economic and geographical, and can be seen in the appropriation of turntables as musical instruments, trains as canvases, tapping into city lampposts to power amps, the recontextualization of old records through sampling, and most recently, the use of the web as a platform to garner a fanbase. Like hip-hop's disenfranchised youth, the nerds and geeks of the early internet shared a common status in society as outcasts, and thus it was by no surprise that both communities would begin to overlap. This would all occur during the internet's Wild West era, resulting in a sound and vision for the genre that was beyond the confines of the conventional narrative seen in hip-hop. You're watching Turismo, and this is Above the Clouds Episode 1, The Birth of Internet Rap. In 2016, SoundCloud rap would cross over into the mainstream, offering a fresh approach to hip-hop with a DIY, lo-fi, nihilistic and rowdy sound that would introduce a new audience to the world of modern trap music and underground rap. This era within hip-hop was incredibly intoxicating for onlookers due to the insanity and chaos of not only the music, but also the larger-than-life personas of the artists, giving an insight into the effects of internet fame, drugs, mental illness, and youth angst on the psyche. While to the untrained ear, this moment in music history appeared like something radically new, the SoundCloud rap trend and its pent-up angst has its roots in a huge sprawling underground network that would begin over a decade prior, with influences dating back to the bling era of the early 2000s and beyond. In this documentary series, I will attempt to tell the story of hip-hop's relationship with the internet, beginning in this episode with early adopters of the web, the blog, DatPiff, and MySpace scenes that followed, and the artists that would help establish the internet rapper archetype, before delving into the underground scene that gave rise to the SoundCloud rap trend in further episodes. My research is based solely off of what has been made available online, in conjunction with my hazy memory of the time period and suggestions made in my Discord server or on Twitter. I've done my best to try and include as many vital artists in this documentary series as possible, connecting the dots between relevant artists within and outside of the scene. So if you feel like someone's missing, chances are they will either be mentioned in part 2, or simply left out due to either being too obscure or less important to the discussion. The comments section is open for discussion, so feel free to hit me up with any critiques or information you feel may be relevant for future episodes, and I'll do my best to respond and engage with your ideas. Without further ado, let's dive right in, starting from the very beginning. At the dawn of the internet era, hip-hop's connection to the digital world was already taking shape. This could be seen most evidently in the formation of old-school message boards and forums. The most notable example was Usenet newsgroup alt.rap, an archaic online space that was later subsequed by RMHH, where nerdy hip-hop fans would unite to discuss the genre, write reviews, and form online bonds. In a history of the early hip-hop internet, published by Red Bull Music and the Daily Note, writer Noz explains that both rap culture and internet technology weren't even close to the global presences that they are now. It required a very specific blend of circumstances to gain access to either of these concurrently emerging lifestyles, let alone the sort of deep-end immersion that we take for granted today. By the late 90s, hip-hop as a genre and the internet were both becoming increasingly more accessible, with the controversial gangster rap era drawing a lot of attention from the media, as the internet quickly evolved into the Web 2.0 era, with sites such as rapreviews.com and OHHLA emerging. During this time period, a select few artists had basic websites, were beginning to spit bars related to the internet, and even utilize web aesthetics into their album art. Most notably, with Trick Daddy's www.thug.com. An artist that stood out particularly during this time period as an early adopter of the internet and hyperbolic caricature of the underground wave of the 90s was battle rapper Cannabis, whose whole persona was that of an internet geek, dropping dial-up sound effects in the intro of his debut album, interacting with fans on web forums, hosting exclusive music on his website, and once claiming that being offline for more than 5 days felt similar to not brushing his teeth. This outsider persona of Cannabis, and his inclination toward nerdy themes and lyrics, would make his career challenging, as seen in his awkward interviews and difficulty adapting to traditional song structures. Leaning into his obsession with the web, and experience as an employee at internet service provider AT&T, Cannabis would begin building his own website as early as 1997, seeing the potential of the web as a ground for promotion and interaction with a fan base, years before it became commonplace.
Technology was something that I was like heavy into. You know what I'm saying? I remember spending 6 figures on the bandwidth. It was crazy. Pretty much, I needed to make a website. I remember starting the album out, Can I Bust, with a modem dialing up to AOL. I remember doing that. I had 18 million hits on cannabis.com in 97, from September of 97 to September of 98, 18 million. Now, in 2021, you look at that and you know it wasn't black people. It wasn't people that came from where I came from. It was people with disposable income with access to laptops. And I knew one day when a laptop is affordable and it's not $5,000, but it's like, you know, $500 or $1,000 or whatever, right? I knew that everyone was going to be immersed, completely obsessed, and, you know, inevitably bound to this internet, LinkedIn, all, you know, live communication. I knew it was coming.
In an era when most rappers were primarily focused on traditional methods of promotion and distribution, Cannabis was already ahead of the curve, embracing the digital realm as a means to connect with his audience. His lyrical content was equally distinctive. He delved into esoteric subjects like photosynthesis, reproduction, and astrophysics in his raps, making him an outsider amongst his peers. While Cannabis may have failed to deliver as a commercial artist, due to his various beefs, poor production choices, and pretentious style, his use of the internet, geeky subject matter, and outsider persona were incredibly ahead. Fast forward to the early 2000s, and the internet would begin to have a major impact on hip-hop, particularly the record industry, with piracy and MP3 sharing pushing album sales to an all-time low. While this phenomenon posed a substantial threat to the industry, it inadvertently planted the seeds for alternative distribution methods, resulting in the emergence of the first rapper to gain prominence solely through online buzz. Enter Afroman, a rapper based out of Mississippi who had unintentionally achieved viral fame in 2001. He accomplished this by handing out 500 free CDs of his album, Because I Got High, to college students, who subsequently shared the album online through Napster. In less than 38 hours, the title track had exploded in popularity, eventually making its way to The Howard Stern Show and becoming a major hit. Unlike Cannabis, Afroman's music was refreshingly straightforward, humorous, and instantly catchy, allowing him to appeal to a much broader audience instead of a niche one. His viral success vividly demonstrated the internet's power as a promotional tool, and underscored the potential for artists to gain recognition independently. While Afroman may not have fully grasped the intricacies of internet piracy, he was acutely aware of the power of independent distribution. This understanding was influenced in part by the South's rich history of DIY mixtapes and unconventional promotional methods. In fact, Afroman's decision to move from California to Mississippi stemmed from the latter's reputation of a more open-minded and experimental approach to music. Rapper Chamillionaire reflected this sentiment, crafting his own website in 2002. The site would allow him to independently distribute mixtapes and connect with fans, foreshadowing the region's quick adoption of the web and dominance in later years. As the 2000s unfolded, hip-hop found itself in the midst of the bling era, characterized by a shift toward a more pop-centric and club-oriented style of rap music, largely driven by the direction set by record executives. This move aimed to cleanse the lingering residue of the controversial gangster rap era from the mainstream consciousness and avoid the copyright lawsuits associated with heavy sampling. No longer bound by the harsh scrutiny of the gangster-era gatekeepers, the South was quick to adapt. Just a few years prior, Andre 3000 had eloquently declared in his iconic Source Awards speech, "The South had something to say." This marked a pivotal shift in hip-hop, where the South's distinct voice began to resonate freely. While this change in the genre allowed the South to break free from their regional constraints, an inversion occurred as many artists, unable to adapt to the new era, found themselves relegated to the shadows, mirroring the plight of Southern rappers from the previous decade.
Yeah. These radio programmers fell off when they stopped playing our music, when they started dictating our sounds by what Atlanta plays, by what New York plays, by following what these other motherfuckers playing. No disrespect to snapping and all that shit, but fuck that shit.
It's a bunch of things. It's the corporate side of the business that killed it, you know what I'm saying? You know, every kind of music gets stagnant every once in a while, and then it comes to a point where it needs to be re-energized.
While Cannabis managed to find a niche audience through online forums, early streaming widgets, and blog posts via his new website, miclub.com, his peers in New York City would instead turn to the mixtape format to circumvent industry restrictions. In 2002, blackballed rapper 50 Cent would pioneer the Street album, with 50 Cent as the future, along with his crew G-Unit and rivals the Diplomats. These artist-driven mixtapes, unlike the traditionally DJ-run format prevalent in the city, would allow artists to break the strict rules of the industry and experiment freely with sampling, beat jacking, remixing, and lyrics that weren't radio-friendly. Like Afroman's Because I Got High, these tapes would begin to emerge on LimeWire and other P2P piracy services, foreshadowing the era of digital mixtape sites like Live Mixtapes and DatPiff. Similarly, the rise of street DVDs like Smack, Cocaine City, Come Up, and Sub-Zero inadvertently foreshadowed the emergence of internet influencers on YouTube, as well as the creation of viral video hosting sites like Worldstar Hip Hop. These street DVDs provided unfiltered, unscripted, behind-the-scenes glimpses into the lives of various New York street rappers, creating a raw and authentic form of content. Little did they know that this type of content would become increasingly popular during the blog era, exemplified by lifestyle videos showcased on YouTube by artists like Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, Kid Cudi, and others, as well as the more quote-unquote hood street fight and underground rap beef videos featured on sites like Worldstar Hip Hop. The aforementioned diplomats would play a significant role in this scene, shaking up New York's tough gangster image by employing humour, unique slang, flamboyant fashion, and a boundaryless vision for hip-hop that transcended regional allegiances. While many of New York's heavyweights from the gangster era held onto their regional ties, the diplomats' embrace of outsider influences foreshadowed the globalization of hip-hop during the internet era. The group really lived up to their name, helping to bring peace and unity to the crumbling rap landscape, seeking to foster good relations between different regions and styles. This vision not only influenced fellow Harlem rapper A$AP Rocky to explore southern rap, but also paved the way for artists like Sweden's Drain Gang and the Sad Boys to seamlessly blend European rave sounds with hip-hop, echoing the spirit of the Diplomats' trance party mixtapes.
First of all, what happened, a lot of people get confused is they say New York hip hop, down south, this, that. First of all, let's just make good music and then label it. You can't say, yo, I got a New York record, yo, I got a South record. I think you should let the record play. You could tell, of course, where the record's from once you hear it, but good music is good music. I get that all the time. Yo, I'm from Harlem. Yo, I'm from Harlem. Put me on, yo, I'm from Harlem. Yo, I'm from Harlem. Yo, I did my thing for the block. Yo, that doesn't mean you can rap. Our business, get up there. You can't label where you're from and make that your pattern. You have to have some type of talent or some type of business mind or whatever it is you're going to get ahead in before you can label where you're from. So I don't care about East or West Coast or whatever. I just try to make the good music.
Essentially, the Diplomats, led by Cameron, had prophetically envisioned hip-hop as a culture free from regional boundaries, a vision that would help shape the future of the genre. An artist that successfully embodied this globalization of hip-hop during the early internet era was British rapper and Sri Lankan refugee MIA, who would fuse elements of UK dance music with ballet funk, Miami bass, and world music. Embodying the spirit of UK pirate radio, MIA would begin uploading her music to MySpace as early as 2004, finding a niche audience amongst UK's alternative youth. After her debut album was delayed due to sample clearance issues, she would instead look to the mixtape format, employing the DJing of Diplo, who mashed her unreleased tracks with existing hits from hip-hop artists all over the world. Despite its unofficial release, the resulting mixtape, Piracy Funds Terrorism, was well received by critics, praised for its genre-blending approach and unique atmosphere. Piracy Funds Terrorism not only exemplified the evolving sound of hip-hop, but also highlighted how the internet allowed music to transcend boundaries, bringing together diverse global influences into one unique sonic experience. In a 2005 interview, when asked about the difficulty in categorizing her sound, MIA explained, "In hip-hop, people are opening up more, and in indie music, people are getting more beats. Influences are crossing over into each other's puddles. I just accept where I'm at. I accept where the world is at, and I accept how we receive and digest information. I get that somebody in Tokyo is on the internet instant messaging, and someone in the favelas is on the internet. And that's how we process information now. This just reflects that." MIA would later drop her debut album Arula to critical acclaim, and the artist would further grow in popularity, with subsequent albums and pop crossover hit Paper Planes. As hip-hop related album sales were surpassed by singles on iTunes and further threatened by the freedom of piracy, the record industry would begin looking to new technology to recoup their losses. This would result in a new trend known as ringtone rap that would see artists, particularly from the South and Bay Area, taking over the Billboard charts with simple and catchy tracks made predominantly for use as a dial tone. They were often paired with gimmicky dance trends and references to kids' sweets and cartoons. Notable hits from the era included Laffy Taffy by D4L, Little Will's My Doogie, Lean With It, Rock With It by Dem Franchise Boys, and Walk It Out by Unk. While many ringtone hits would come from mainstream stars, most artists that were labelled as ringtone rappers were one-hit wonders with little to no staying power. But this was all about to change with our next artist, whose radical use of the internet in conjunction with the ringtone format would establish the internet rapper archetype, influencing the sound of viral hip-hop for years to come. Enter Soulja Boy, a tech-savvy teenager from the isolated rural town of Batesville, Mississippi, who would utilize piracy, social media, and the internet to bypass his geographical block, in the process paving the way for future stars, earning the title of the godfather of internet rap. Soulja's story would begin sometime in 2005, during the height of the Bling era, when he would begin uploading music to the archaic SoundCloud predecessor, SoundClick, utilizing elements of Snap, an antiquated subgenre of southern rap ubiquitous with the ringtone rap trend. This fusion birthed an obnoxious, attention-grabbing form of music that, despite its shortcomings, compelled listeners to take notice. Unlike T.I., Jeezy, Lil Jon, and other notable southern stars of the time, Soulja Boy was not only a complete nobody from a town no one had ever heard of, but also lacking in star power and lyrical prowess. This would force him to get creative, with Soulja adopting a fake-it-till-you-make-it mentality, crafting the persona of a star and gaining a cult-like following online as one of the first social media influencers. Soulja was able to achieve this through a completely new approach to music marketing, utilizing his YouTube account to make behind-the-scenes vlogs, skits, and dance videos, while turning MySpace into a hype machine with status updates about what he was up to, packed with humor and controversy. Soulja would also take note of Afroman's quick come-up, uploading his music to the infamous piracy platform LimeWire, disguising his tracks with song titles from famous pop acts of the time, resulting in unsuspecting pirates discovering his music. Soulja's whole appeal would draw parallels to that of reality TV stars of the time, with his relatable background demonstrating to others that it was possible for anybody to become a star. This was an incredibly effective approach and would translate into mainstream success, with his breakout hit Crank That. The polarizing Snap hit would begin doing major numbers on the web after being posted to SoundClick, later reaching the Billboard Hot 100 and dominating the charts for weeks, becoming the most iconic ringtone of all time.
I recorded Crack That Soulja Boy in my room. I just had the computer, software, and like a little headset mic I was using. People like ain't really buying albums no more. Like people like downloading for free or whatever. So like I took Crack That Soulja Boy and renamed it like 50 Cent in the Club. And then everybody was downloading and bam, bam, hitting it. A DJ by the name of Freddie Hydro from Memphis, Tennessee, gave him one of my singles. I had a single called I Got Me Some Bathing Apes. Okay. And he gave him the single, he listened to it, he liked it. They showed him the MySpace page, he saw the MySpace page, he saw all the views, all the fans. He got my contact information off the MySpace page, came to my house and signed me like that same week, and I got my deal to Interscope Records like the following week after that.
While the track was widely hated at the time, its impact was undeniable, having demonstrated to the world that it's possible for just about anybody to become a rapper, all thanks to the power of the internet and a little bit of creativity. This could be seen with the aura surrounding Crank That, which was like nothing before, with kids all across the globe learning the Superman dance and engaging with Soulja's social media accounts, in the process annoying the older generation that were beginning to lose their grip.
Hip-hop has to last forever, and it ain't gonna last with you doing that Superman bullshit, man. That shit is whack.
While Soulja's music triggered the majority of crusty old heads, his influence would have a major impact on the trajectory of modern hip-hop, especially SoundCloud rap, and could be seen everywhere, as not only are the biggest rappers these days using social media to gain a following, but so is just about every other artist involved in popular music. Today, it's increasingly common to encounter deceptive rap mixtapes, masquerading as leaks from more popular artists on platforms like YouTube. And figures like Mario Judah and Young Thug have elevated this concept to new heights, with the Barter 6 and Whole Lotta Red bootleg. While the majority of ringtone rappers faded into obscurity, Soulja Boy managed to transform his success into his debut album, SouljaBoyTellEm.com, which sold over 100,000 copies in its first week. Since then, the young star has consistently leveraged controversy and trends to maintain his relevance, solidifying his position as an undeniable and important figure in the history of modern hip-hop. Meanwhile, deep under the crust, Houston Oddball and screwed up Click affiliate Lee Dog would begin uploading music to the website CD Baby under his new moniker Viper, embarking on 3 digital albums that took the sound of chopped and screwed music to their extremes, with syrupy lo-fi synths and southern slang that would serve as a vital precursor to the internet's first major rap microgenre, cloud rap. While it's unconfirmed as to why Viper changed his name and began using the internet, I personally theorize that he was most likely ostracized from the Houston hip-hop scene for being a weirdo, and found solace in the early internet world of neats, weebs, and reclusives. Unfortunately, Viper was never taken seriously as a rapper, only blowing up as a meme years later. Despite this, his early work serves as an important touchstone in the evolution of hip-hop's relationship with the internet, demonstrating the web's ability to be an outlet for outsiders and eccentrics. While Viper is generally left out of the conversation of influential internet-based artists, his impact can be seen in his prophetic use of meme-like imagery, kitsch MIDI instrumentation, flooding of the web with endless mixtapes, and brutally raw and honest lyrics delivered in a tongue-in-cheek manner. As the internet unshackled artists from traditional constraints, Viper's role in this transformative process cannot be understated. While his journey may have been unconventional, the impact of his creative choices resonate far beyond the boundaries of his initial reception. While piracy had benefited Afro Man and Soulja Boy, it had essentially limited Viper's reach, as no one was really buying music anymore, especially not from a site like CD Baby, instead embracing MP3s and iPods that offered unlimited convenience. As a result, rappers were forced once again to rethink their strategy, as physical mixtapes just weren't going to survive. Consumers were expecting more, and the occasional mixtape or album from their favourite artist just wasn't enough to keep them satisfied. Enter Lil Wayne, a rising star and member of the Hot Boys, who would begin flooding the market with free music. Influenced by the mixtape revolution in New York City with 50 Cent, and the South's long history of independent distribution, Wayne would begin utilising the mixtape format to embark on a journey of musical discovery that would line up perfectly with the inception of hip-hop's premier mixtape hosting site, datpiff.com. While 50 had used the mixtape format as a Trojan horse into the rap game, Wayne took note of the way music was being consumed by the new generation, and decided to flood the web with large quantities of free music, dropping back-to-back free mixtapes, facilitated by the legendary DJ Drama, to build hype for his album The Carter 3. Standout mixtapes, such as The Drought 3 and Dedication 2, would see Wayne completely rejecting the conventions of hip-hop by deviating from traditional release schedules, working with unconventional song structures, freestyling almost all of his material, jacking beats from outside of his region and even outside of hip-hop itself, as well as deconstructing lyricism with unconventional similes, non-sequiturs, metaphors, and half-rhymes. But most importantly, Wayne didn't take himself too seriously, with a playful charisma that was quite avant-garde for the time, easily comparable to the troll-like nature of various internet artists who would follow. Notably, Lil Wayne's remixes often outperformed the originals, a testament to his innovative approach, with fans eagerly anticipating his reinterpretations, which added new dimensions to existing tracks. The key to Wayne's success was his focus on quantity, delivering an extraordinary volume of music, which allowed him to detach from perfectionistic tendencies and experiment uninhibited, while feeding the fans with more music than anyone else at the time. Wayne's impressive output during the era would serve as the blueprint for what would follow, reflected in similar creative spurts by artists such as Gucci Mane, Future, Young Thug, Lil B, Bones, and Choppo. This helped to open hip-hop up to more bizarre and left-field stream of consciousness lyricism, encouraging artists to find their sound through constant freestyling and experimentation, a process that Weezy knew all too well.
It's nothing like hard work. Pussy, not even pussy. Actually, not even money. Because a lot of motherfuckers get the money without hard work and they don't know what to do. And people that get money without hard work sometimes don't even want the money. Repetition is the father of learning. I repeat, repetition is the father of learning.
Tell me who like me, I'm the only fish in the sea. I mean, you got swag, but you had to get it from me. Man, I quit link long time ago, but my pouring up for a key. Yeah, this bad bitch with her pants on, sitting in the passenger seat.
She got them drugs on them, I'm like, yeah, higher than a skirt.
Still got it, baby, pick up the phone. Now you recognize my number, pick up the phone. Now you start rapping, that's when you're all alone.
While Wayne and Soulja weren't the first artists to utilize the web, they had essentially laid the blueprint, demonstrating the power of the mixtape and social media. Soon the floodgates would open, with various artists following in their footsteps, utilizing the internet in new and creative ways to gain attention from labels and fans. Among these emerging talents were early MySpace luminaries such as rapper Mickey Facts, who exhibited his ingenuity by remixing nerd instrumentals, which he then uploaded to MySpace. He assumed the persona of Pharrell Williams' latest signee, creating a career-launching buzz. On the other hand, Chuck English and Sir Michael Rocks formed a connection through the platform, and later went on to establish the Cool Kids. They carved out their unique space in hip-hop with their retro-infused aesthetics and electronic beats, exemplified by widely popular and influential hits like Black Mags. Meanwhile, the Bay Area collective known as The Pack experienced a career boost thanks to their hit song Vans, which caught the attention of Too Short for its fresh take on the hyphy sound. Meanwhile, Kid Cudi effectively utilized MySpace as a launchpad for day and night, which in turn drew the gaze of hip-hop blogs. Simultaneously, Jay Electronica made waves by crafting a 15-minute demo over the soundtrack of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He then shared this masterpiece on the platform, garnering critical acclaim. For these early stars, MySpace served as more than just a platform for sharing music and connecting with fans. It played a vital role in shaping their music, thanks to the customization options made available on the site that encouraged creativity and individual flair. As these artists persisted in networking online through the site to navigate the industry, a small but expanding number of hip-hop blogs were starting to take over this role. These blogs replaced the traditional A&R professionals and record executives, actively contributing to the elevation and coverage of the emerging rap scene online. They played a crucial part in nurturing the careers of various artists and redirecting traffic toward mixtapes, marking the inception of what would later be coined as the blog era. What had begun as passion projects in the 2000s for hip-hop bloggers to discuss the music which publications were avoiding would slowly grow in popularity before becoming a major force to be reckoned with, later outcompeting the old guard. The most powerful of these writers was the New Music Cartel, a loose collection of blogs consisting of Two Dope Boys, On Smash, You Heard That New, Exclusive Zone, Miss Info, Dad Jazz 1, and Nah Right, that would dominate the blog era as tastemakers, providing internet-savvy kids with exclusive leaks, reviews, new mixtapes, rare interviews, and behind-the-scenes information. Because hip-hop blogs were run by hip-hop fans, for hip-hop fans, without the industry politics of a major publication, things were a lot more raw, with each blog providing a unique perspective and flavour. With some blogs favoured for their wacky comment sections and communities, while others were celebrated for their access to exclusive leaks and cutting-edge taste. This made finding and collecting mixtapes during this era an exciting process, as fans were forced to take an active approach to music discovery, navigating the wide array of blogs, looking for active download links, and sharing files amongst peers. This method of consumption contrasts sharply with the passive process of letting an algorithm dictate your personal taste that is commonplace today with Spotify and other streaming services. By this stage, the DatPiff mixtape had transformed from a loose collection of remixes into full-fledged projects that could perform as standalone albums, as seen most evidently in early projects like Kanye West's mixtape, Can't Tell Me Nothing. The mixtape, once a platform for experimentation and playful remixes, had matured into a medium for profound exploration and expression, with Can't Tell Me Nothing paving the way for other artists to approach mixtapes with the same level of intention. This newfound approach allowed artists to craft narratives, evoke emotions, and showcase the depth of their artistry, a turning point that propelled mixtapes beyond the confines of their earlier, more casual reputation. Kanye's influence radiated through the personas of numerous stars of the blog era. These artists were emblematic of a generation that sought to infuse their music with emotional depth and introspection. This transformation occurred in the midst of a significant industry moment. Kanye West engaged in a head-to-head battle with 50 Cent over record sales, which he ultimately won in a landslide victory. This pivotal moment pushed street rap further into the background, making room for a more emotionally charged and introspective music to take center stage in the hip-hop landscape. This transformation in the approach to self-expression extended to the lyrics, themes, and even aesthetics of the music. Blog-era stars were unafraid to tackle personal struggles, relationships, mental health, and societal issues, with an authenticity that was strikingly relatable. This emotional resonance, combined with the lyrical prowess that characterized hip-hop, became a defining hallmark of the era. For this generation, authenticity was key, and crafting a strong narrative that fans could get behind was what set you apart. This forced artists to make more creative decisions to distinguish themselves, resulting in greater diversity, with only the best artists rising to the top. Perhaps the most iconic of these stars was rapper Drake, an unlikely hero from Canada, whose softer, mellow, and emotionally vulnerable sound, inspired by Kanye West, merged R&B with hip-hop into something completely new and unique. While his first two mixtapes would help garner the attention of a small fanbase online through MySpace, it wasn't until the release of So Far Gone through his OVO website that it would truly begin to blow up with hit singles like Best I Ever Had and Successful, both reaching gold certification by the RIAA. While Drake's rapping abilities were questionable, the mixtape was incredibly cohesive, with sparse production from 40 contrasted against themes of struggles with fame, women, and lust. Similarly, rapper Kid Cudi would make a major splash in the blog era with his hit song Day and Night that was originally posted to MySpace in 2007, before reaching the blogs and later the charts. In the years that followed, Cudi would drop his mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi, that, like Drake's work on So Far Gone, expanded the emotional depth of rap, merging it with indie pop influences and electronica. Cudi's music was different to his peers and spoke to a generation of loners and outcasts, many of which shared similar struggles with mental health and addiction. Meanwhile, rapper Wiz Khalifa would target the adjacent demographic of stoners, with his iconic mixtape Kush and Orange Juice, that would do major numbers online, despite no major label backing. Wiz would informally drop the tape on Twitter, where it quickly became a trending topic, before being further pushed by the blogs. The mixtape, like basically all of Wiz's work, is a charismatic insight into the life of a stoner frat boy, with intoxicating tracks such as Still Blazin', Mesmerized, and Good Dank, that would become the soundtrack for weed-smoking sessions amongst his fan base, the Taylor Gang. Wiz Khalifa essentially became a lifestyle tastemaker and trendsetter, influencing a generation of high school stoners, many of which learned how to roll their first roaches from his personal YouTube channel. Wiz's frequent collaborator, Currency, would also garner critical reception during this time period, dropping mixtapes like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, How Fly, and Fear and Loathing in New Orleans. What set Currency apart was his ability to create vivid soundscapes through his music. His laid-back flow and rhymes transported listeners to the hazy world of stoners and car enthusiasts, creating a sonic experience that resonated with a dedicated fan base. Currency's music was not just about smoking and writing, it was a reflection of a lifestyle. His mixtapes featured intricate storytelling about street life, hustling, and the pursuit of success. One of the most remarkable aspects of Currency's career during the blog era was his independence. He operated under his Fly Society International imprint, which allowed him to maintain creative control over his music and image, with self-funded tours and shows that allowed him to connect with fans in a more intimate way. Khalifa's fellow Pittsburgh-bred rapper Mac Miller was another incredibly authentic artist within the era, whose early mixtapes, most notably Kids, captured the carefree spirit of youth, showcasing Miller's potential as a rising star. Mac's hustler mentality and relatable persona made his YouTube channel incredibly popular, in which he would showcase a personality and style that felt unpretentious and relatable to fans across the globe. Mac's rise paralleled the ethos of the blog era: authenticity, accessibility, and the power of grassroots promotion. As Mac's career progressed, his music evolved, reflecting his own growth and experiences. His mixtapes and albums delved into deeper and more introspective themes, touching on topics like addiction, mental health, and the pursuit of happiness. This willingness to be vulnerable and tackle complex issues resonated with a generation grappling with similar challenges. During this time period, the blog era was full of stars from very diverse backgrounds. Some honorable mentions include rapper Nicki Minaj with her Beam Me Up Scotty mixtape, DC artist Wale and his go-go influenced mixtape About Nothing, B.O.B. and his versatile genre-blending mixtape B.O.B. vs. Bobby Ray, Big Sean with his mixtapes Finally Famous and Unknown Big Sean, J. Cole with Friday Night Lights, frat rapper Asher Roth, Corey Guns, Tyga, Chitty Bang, Don Tripp, Kid Ink, Pill, Blue, and Pac Div, just to name a few. An artist who stood out particularly among these stars was internet blogger and borderline neckbeard Charles Hamilton, who would begin to leverage his own blog to launch a promising musical career. The Hamiltonization process, a term coined by Charles to describe his original mixtape run, would see the young MC embrace his outsider persona by unapologetically repping Sonic merch, weeb culture, and the color pink, while oversharing his deepest insecurities over pop remixes, utilizing YouTube and his blog to promote his music. Like cannabis, Hamilton was a geek and would use sound effects from computers in his tracks, while tackling themes of loneliness. Hamilton was the complete opposite of what rap fans had come to expect. While he could spit incredibly well and his production was top-notch, his strange personal interests, tendency to overshare, fraudulent claims of the deceased J Dilla's production appearing on his mixtapes, and overall goofy, oddball media presence made him a very bizarre character within the rap world. This unique aura, paired with his use of blog sites and social media to gain a following, was rather ahead of its time, opening the doors for other rappers that would follow. Hamilton was also able to relate to the channers and weebs of the internet, hanging out in chat rooms and really embodying the niche outsider communities of the web. Despite falling out of popularity rather quickly and essentially destroying his career thanks to bipolar disorder and addiction, Charles continued to drop mixtape after mixtape, slowly getting more and more abstract until his lyrics began to stop making sense. Some of Hamilton's most important projects include his Pink Lava Lamp mixtape. It's Charles Hamilton, and my personal favourite, Well Isn't This Awkward? A true curiosity of mixtape culture that essentially saw Charles construct a fictional universe in which pop star Rihanna was his girlfriend, remixing Chris Brown songs, and even Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac, with Simpars pining for the attention of his idol. The tape would also feature strange cover art that portrayed Shadow the Hedgehog with a bouquet of flowers, a symbol synonymous with Aspies and internet weirdos, which Hamilton almost perfectly fit the description of. This weird, yet charming approach from Hamilton is alive and well on many of the tapes that would follow, with his strange incel tendencies, autistic fixation on Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sega, making for an incredibly honest and endearing listening experience. Many of the aforementioned artists would make their debut on sites like DatPiff, build a platform on MySpace, and get promoted on blogs like Two Dope Boys and Nah Right, providing internet-savvy kids with an alternative to pirated music that they had grown accustomed to. This created a more authentic connection to the music, as artists utilizing the internet and social media were able to showcase unfiltered, raw personalities with behind-the-scenes content, tweets, and large quantities of music that bypassed label interference. Due to the power of the internet and open-minded attitude of artists at the time, producers would begin to sample from a wider variety of genres, utilizing sites like YouTube to dig for new sounds not usually associated with hip-hop production, such as video game soundtracks, pop hits, emo, new metal tracks, and ambient electronic albums. Not only would production change with the popularity of DAWs and e-digging, but the relationship between beatmakers and rappers would also begin to evolve, with social media allowing for working relationships to be formed across the globe, in spite of geographical boundaries. This would be the case for Waka Flocka Flame and Lex Luger, Clamps Casino and Lil B, as well as Chuck English and Sir Michael Rocks of the Cool Kids. During this era, Lil Wayne would surpass his street tape persona and emerge as a pivotal figure in the blog era's transition to mainstream success, by assembling the powerhouse known as Young Money, Cash Money Billionaires, or YMCMB for short. YMCMB was more than just a record label. It was a collective of some of the most iconic stars who had cut their teeth in the blog era. The YMCMB roster included legendary artists like Nicki Minaj, Drake, Tyga, Mac Main, Corey Guns, Gutta Gutta, and many others. The majority of these artists had leveraged the mixtape format to not only establish themselves as major players in the blog era, but also lay the foundation for promising mainstream careers, and this was only further enhanced by their collaborations. As the culture of the blog era began to intertwine with mainstream music, characterized by professionally polished, freely downloadable mixtapes, a stark division emerged between the spotlighted, internet-savvy hipsters and the street-oriented artists thriving in the underground. The artists of the blog era, often hailed as sophisticated and cool, had adeptly tailored their craft to meet the demands of the mainstream. Their mixtapes were meticulously polished, radio-friendly, and curated for broader appeal. They navigated the music industry with finesse, leveraging their internet fame to secure major label contracts. For many, they epitomized the contemporary evolution of hip-hop, embracing a fusion of pop-centric hooks, catchy beats, and highly stylized music videos. In sharp contrast, street rappers in the underground were regarded as outsiders, deviating from the glossy standards set by their blog era peers, instead crafting vivid portraits of life in their respective neighborhoods. In the gritty streets of New York, a post-boom bap era that evolved out of G-Unit and Diplomat's mixtapes was in full bloom, defined by the street tapes of iconic collectives like the Coke Boys, Bird Gang, Riot Squad, and their affiliates. These works served as sonic time capsules, capturing the pulse of the city's streets, the hustle, and the raw emotion that flowed through its veins. Max B, also known as Bigger Belly or the Silver Surfer, was a central figure and originator in the wavy movement, characterized by a laid-back, melodic, and emotionally resonant approach to rap. The Silver Surfer's enigmatic personality and ability to seamlessly blend singing with rapping created a distinctive sonic atmosphere that felt familiar to fans of 50 Cent and Dipset, with increased humor, charisma, and atmosphere. Max's collaboration with French Montana, particularly on projects like Coke Wave 1 and 2, was pivotal, with Max B's croning and Frenchie's gritty lyricism creating a contrast that was both captivating and infectious. The broader East Coast would see various spitters make their mark on the mixtape scene, with rappers like Cassidy, Papoose, Jadakiss, Chinks Drugs, Stack Bundles, Styles P, Sky Zoo, Gilly the Kid, and Meek Mill gaining recognition online through DatPiff. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, the crunk and southern hip-hop that had once held sway were morphing into the pulsating heart of modern trap music. Mixtapes like Salute Me or Shoot Me by Waka Flocka Flame and the seminal works of Gucci Mane exemplified this evolution, laying the groundwork for the trap sound that would go on to conquer the global hip-hop landscape. Gucci Mane's mixtapes, particularly those released during the mid-2000s, like Chicken Talk and The Burprint, introduced a new sonic palette to the rap world, characterized by heavy, bass-laden beats, ominous melodies, and his distinctive syrupy flow. DJ Drama, a prominent figure in the mixtape game, played a significant role in Gucci Mane's rise, hosting several of his mixtapes and providing them with a stamp of authenticity and credibility. Drama's notorious Gangsta Grill series, which featured Gucci on multiple occasions, helped solidify his status as a street rap icon. This partnership between Gucci Mane and DJ Drama was mutually beneficial, with Gucci's gritty street tales and Drama's signature drops and ad-libs creating a perfect synergy.
Everybody wanted a Gangsta Grills. Like it was coveted. You know, I want to be on the cover of this magazine. I want to be on this TV show, and I gotta have a Gangsta Grills. I took that formula and just, you know, took it to new heights. The concept of the EP and the quote unquote the mixtape and, you know, where we are and today comes from what I was doing with Gangsta Grills. You know, that formula became the it formula.
Various other mixtape DJs would emerge during this era, often working alongside Drama and on their own projects with other artists. This included important figures such as DJ Scream, DJ Holiday, Trapaholics, DJ Rel, DJ Smalls, Big Mike, DJ Green Lantern, Evil Empire, Ill Will, and many others. In a similar vein, the Bay Area hyphy scene was flourishing, with its signature energy and distinct sound. Mixtape series such as Thiz Nation, the works of the Jacker, The Pack, Green Over Undergrounds, and various others would channel the energy of stars like E40 and Mac Dre into the mixtape format. This regional style, characterized by its frenetic beats and exuberant lyrics, became an underground phenomenon, sparking energetic dance movements and defining a unique subculture. This sound would later evolve into jerk music that epitomized the swag era, popularized by crews like the New Boys and the Rangers, with mixtapes by artists like Audio Push, YG, and others exploring the sound during the 2010s. While the blog era stars were celebrated for their ability to navigate the mainstream, the underground street rappers at the time faced criticism for their unconventional approach. Due to their chaotic humor and enigmatic personalities, they were juxtaposed ironically against violent themes of street life. This bizarre contrast could be seen most evidently in the striking album art for tapes like The Burprint, OJ the Juice Man's shrill ad-libs, Max B's vocal crooning, and Bay Area artists and their exuberant personas that would all serve as vital influences on the meme era that followed. The audience that enjoyed these tapes were excited by the mixtape scene for different reasons to the fans of the blog era, instead enjoying the less serious and freeform raw energy of the underground. While many of these artists did in fact break out with singles and gain recognition with the blogosphere, these artists were not at all concerned with fitting into the online scene, and were really just having fun with the format, using DatPiff as just another medium for exchange while they continued to hustle in the streets. But they weren't the only ones ignoring the conventions of the blog era. While the blog seemed like the best way to get recognition as an artist, not everybody was a fan of the power they held. What had started as a rebellion against the gatekeepers of the previous generation was ironically what the bloggers of the new music cartel would eventually become. Soon rappers were at the mercy of the blogs, and corporate industry would begin to penetrate the scene, with labels utilizing the mixtape format as an easy way to screen artists, scouring MySpace and DatPiff for the next big star and funding pseudo-organic come-ups. In 2009, rapper Tyler the Creator would make his move, launching a personal vendetta against blog titans 2 Dope Boys and Nah Right, after his music was rejected during the submission process, dissing the publications on his debut mixtape Bastard, and launching the career of Odd Future through unconventional means, utilizing platforms like the KTT Forum, Tumblr, and YouTube to establish their unique brand and attract attention. Unlike their blog era peers, Odd Future were a rowdy group of angsty teenage misfits who reveled in controversy and shock value, never filtering their content for anyone. Like Soulja Boy and early MySpace stars like the Cool Kids, Odd Future saw the importance of lifestyle branding and content as just as, if not more, important than the music itself, and would broadcast themselves performing stunts and skating, recording music, and goofing about, draped head to toe in hypebeast attire. The group were essentially a collective of friends messing around online that were loud, offensive, and unfiltered, employing their iconic mantra, kill people, burn shit, and fuck school, that perfectly encapsulated the feelings and frustrations of the outcasted youth of the time.
I was always a class clown, it's kind of weird and shit, and it's kind of like, I've always been an outcast because they never fucked with me. I know we're the outcast. I mean, if you listen to the music, or just us in general, like you met me in person, I'm just serious now, but I'm always fucking jumping around. I'm surprised I've sat down still this fucking long, but we've always been a fucking outcast and shit. And it's kind of cool because this is what's gonna make us fucking great in the future. At the end of the day, throughout all the jokes or bullshit or whatever, it's always be yourself. That's one thing that I'm like, just do what the fuck you like. That's what I try to tell people, just to do what the fuck they want and fucking impress others.
The edgy approach of Odd Future, informed by the cartoonish violence of Eminem, surrealism of MF Doom, and rising internet counterculture of trolling, shock videos, and memes, could be seen most evidently in the group's music videos and visual skits. Most notably in the video for Earl, that depicted nail removal, blending of illicit substances, and foaming at the mouth, and also in Yonkers, that saw Tyler eating insects and hanging himself. Odd Future's experimental sound and aesthetic would cause plenty of controversies online and backlash from the media due to the group's references to sexual assault, homophobic lyrics, and the influence they had on the youth. Ironically, Odd Future was home to many LGBTIQ+ members and featured some of the first openly gay rappers. Tyler in particular challenged and deconstructed stereotypes of what a rapper was supposed to look like and wrestled with the complexities of identity and acceptance. This backlash against convention could also be seen in the diverse roster of Odd Future that was unlike other rap groups, with members pursuing their own unique sounds and styles, in and outside of the confines of hip-hop. This could be seen with Mellow Hype's warped style of aggressive rap, Jed H. Tomorrow's funk instrumentals and stoner raps, Tyler with his raspy vocals, trippy production, and troll-like behaviour, Earl Sweatshirt with his unique lyricism and vulnerable personal insights, and Frank Ocean's subtle singer-songwriter style that blended pop and R&B with hip-hop sensibilities. Like Soulja Boy, Odd Future had struck a chord with the youth that was different to many of their more serious and focused blog era peers. Soulja and Tyler were young, mischievous, and rebellious, answering to nobody but themselves, with an unhinged, troll-like, absurd style and rough approach to production and recording that really embodied what the internet was truly about. But things were only just getting started. Enter Lil B, an artist from the San Francisco Bay Area who'd completely reject the path of most blog-era rappers, instead creating his own lane, helping to define the sound and aesthetic of the internet for years to come. While each of the artists talked about thus far were able to launch or nurture their careers through the internet and blogs, none of them besides Soulja Boy, Viper, Tyler, and perhaps Charles Hamilton would really embody internet culture to the extent that Lil B would. Unlike other rappers, Lil B would merge internet culture, the mixtape format, and hip-hop into something completely new, taking cues from the hyphy culture he grew up in, opting for a DIY stream of consciousness approach to every aspect of not only his music, but also his promotional tools. This included homemade music videos filmed in random locations, self-recorded freestyles over free beats sent to him by both big-name producers and randoms, and an unfiltered, unedited persona that interacted with fans, embraced meme culture, and understood the mindset of true chronically online basement-dwelling weirdos. Evidence of Lil B's forward-thinking internet-based approach can be traced back to his work with the aforementioned Bay Area crew The Pack, most notably the hit song Vans and mixtape Wolfpack Music. While Lil B would continue working with The Pack, post the success of breakout track Vans, the young rapper would begin building the foundations for his own solo career, creating multiple MySpace pages of his own, and flooding the site with an endless supply of strange and innovative music. Nothing was off limits for Lil B, and soon he would begin dropping songs related to just about anything he could think of, forming his own unique slang, style and philosophy that was unlike anything the hip-hop world had seen since the genius of Kool Keith. While Wayne in the South's level of consistent mixtape output was to be admired, Lil B would absolutely smash this, releasing over 75 mixtapes to date that included several hundred song compilations. The tracks featured on these releases range from swag-heavy based freestyles like Wonton Soup, regional hip-hop tributes such as Texas, and the bass god's more positive and heartfelt motivational tracks like Realest Alive and Beat the Odds. While rappers generally associated with the blog scene would help open the doors for unique voices to be heard in rap, there was still a strong sense of scrutiny aimed at the less lyrically inclined artists, especially those that were labelled as ringtone rappers. Lil B would instead lean into the stereotype and make it cool, embracing his hyphy roots and outsider persona with the bass movement that spread an attitude of love and positivity for everyone.
Everybody's a blessing, you know, and it's such like a dream and stuff. You know, it's like a dream, you know, honestly, that we're in life and, you know, we're sitting here and that we're doing this. I cannot believe it, and I want to cry because I'm so happy. You feel me? And I feel like that's how it should be. Like, there's nobody that's weak to me. You know, like, I judge people off personalities and kind of the vibe of the gut I feel off them. But, like, really, you know, loving people and just respecting people and you know, just venturing out and trying something new and trying to find that common with both of you, you know what I mean? And just try to find that common, because, you know, it's like we all got something in common. And it's just non-judgment.
This widespread love for the outcasted is most evident in music videos like I Love You that demonstrated Lil B's empathy, as well as album titles like I'm Gay that stood up against the homophobic culture ingrained in hip-hop's history. These attempts at embracing the outcasted voices in hip-hop were incredibly attractive to Lil B's fan base, many of which were outsiders themselves. This unique connection with his followers resulted in immunity from criticism, and any attempts to mock the bass god were quickly resolved with defense from his task force. Lil B would even resort to dissing former rapper and blog-era new guard Joe Budden after his music was dismissed. The resulting diss track T-shirts and Buttons absolutely bodied Joe and demonstrated Lil B's lyrical competence, proving that while he could rap to the standards imposed by his detractors, his personal choice for a more raw, stream of consciousness style was an artistic decision and not due to a lack of ability. Lil B's understanding of his fan base not only allowed him to have a direct relationship with them, but also inspired him to embrace many ideas that went against the tough thug rapper archetype, with lyrics that discuss gamer culture, anime, and various other nerdy topics. The bass god was essentially a Christ-like figure, sacrificing himself to bring peace and love to the scene, while putting pharisaical critics like Budden in their place. While Lil B's music is often considered satirical in nature, his music would differ significantly from the growing culture of rap parodies online. Instead, his bass aura was incredibly authentic. This approach to hip-hop from such a left-field artist would help break down the barriers into rap music, creating a platform for underground artists that didn't fit the mold of the more trendy blog-era stars or popular rappers of the time. Following the release of his debut mixtape, I'm Thrax, Lil B would go on to drop what is often considered the most groundbreaking tape in his discography, 6 Kiss. This mixtape marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of hip-hop's relationship with the internet, exemplified by its opening track, Birth of Rap, which was quite literally the birth of internet rap as we know it, helping to launch the career of Clams Casino, and defining the sound and aesthetic of cloud rap and the meme era. In this track, Lil B would shout out his forefathers Wayne, Gucci Mane and Soulja Boy while delivering iconic bars like I'm ballin' like Spalding. Released in 2009, Six Kiss challenged the conventional boundaries of hip-hop, blending elements of the hipster blog scene with street rap, and giving a powerful voice to outsiders and nonconformists. The mixtape would go on to become a cult classic, celebrated for its experimental sound and fearless approach. Six Kiss became a symbol of rebellion against the status quo in hip-hop, challenging norms and encouraging artists to push boundaries. It laid the foundation for a new wave of hip-hop, where authenticity and creative freedom reigned supreme. While the stars of the blog era had overshadowed the street mixtape scene on DatPiff, Lil B's influence would help facilitate its rise, uniting both the mainstream and the underground. This could be seen in his collaborations with blog era stars like Mac Miller and Lil Wayne, as well as lesser known upcoming artists like Main Attractions, Spark Master Tape, Chief Keef and Danny Brown. As traditional media outlets like the Complex Network and Funkmaster Flex began to taint and commodify the vision of the original blog scene, the RIAA's crackdown on piracy, bootlegging and mixtape culture would further exacerbate the problem, causing major legal battles for the original bloggers. Meanwhile, many of the flagship blog era stars had simply moved on, signing major label contracts, with Wiz Khalifa joining Atlantic, Kid Cudi and Big Sean signing with Good, J. Cole with Roc Nation, Mac Miller with Rostrum, and Tyler with XL, making way for a new generation of artists that followed. This included rappers such as fashion-savvy A$AP Rocky, with his unique interpretation of southern hip-hop on Live Love A$AP, facilitated by blogger and tastemaker Yams, Chance the Rapper with his mixtapes Acid Rap and 10 Day, Meek Mill with the Dream Chasers series, Joey Badass with 1999, Kendrick Lamar with his conscious rap masterpiece Section 80, and many others. While hip-hop blogs continued to facilitate in the rise of the aforementioned artists, rappers like Tyler the Creator, Soulja Boy and Lil B had proven to their fans that gaining the attention of the blogs was no longer the only route to success. Instead of seeking validation from bloggers and industry insiders, the new generation of artists that followed focused on cultivating cult-like followings on their own terms. During this era, the sound of underground trap music and its derivatives would serve as the backdrop for this rebellion, with Lex Luger and 808 Mafia-esque production lending itself to a variety of new styles, pushing the sound of early blog-era hipster rap out of favour. While many of the more trendy stars embraced this sound, the underground artists of the era would take it a step further, utilising the sound in conjunction with memes, shock value and irony to poke fun at the gatekeepers, express new ideas and rebel against the industry, forming the foundations of SoundCloud rap with trillwave, drill and cloud rap. This was arguably the golden era of not only internet rap but also vaporwave and other niche microgenres, where many of the trends and themes found in modern internet culture would first emerge. This surreal amalgamation of sounds and visuals spoke directly to the chronically online youth of the time, captivating them with its distinctive atmosphere. The resurgence of older southern rap ideas blended into trap music through movements such as Memphis Revival and Trillwave, along with the celebration of 90s technology and media aimed at teens and children, was fueled by the millennial generation's obsession with nostalgia, tinged with notions of hauntology and lost futures. Beneath the surface of this nostalgia-fueled aesthetic, artists approached the themes of rap with a profound sense of self-awareness, fetishizing key signifiers of the bling era to underscore the escapism inherent in these pursuits. This escapism, in turn, echoed the sentiment of nostalgia for a time of innocence in millennials, a longing for a simpler existence, untouched by the complexities of modern life. Unlike the blog stars, which primarily sought to circumvent traditional avenues of promotion, the era of meme rap and cloud rap that followed truly fused music and the internet into one cohesive expression, serving as a key cornerstone in the sonic and aesthetic foundation of the SoundCloud scene and the current internet zeitgeist. In my next video, I'll begin tracing the roots of this exciting transition towards SoundCloud rap, focusing on the underground scene of cloud rap and trillwave in particular, covering important groups such as the White Girl Mob, Raider Clan, Metro Zoo, ASAP Mob, Ocean Gang, Glow Gang, The Sad Boys, Goth Money, Team Sesh, and many others. While continuing to cover more important tapes emerging within the greater blogosphere and online world. Finally, I'll explore the outcome of this transition, covering the SoundCloud rap era and scenes associated with it. Obviously, I've only just scratched the surface of artists involved in the blog era, so feel free to drop a comment and let me know your favourite artists that I may have missed. Also, if you have any suggestions or ideas for part 2, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I'll do my best to respond and engage with you guys. Shout out to the patrons and Discord community for their continuous support. I couldn't have done this without you guys. For anyone else watching, feel free to join and support, or just share the video with your friends. If you're interested in sending me a personal message, you can find me on Instagram. And anyone trying to reach me on Twitter, please be aware that I can't get into my account. You're watching Turismo. This has been episode 1 of Above the Clouds, the blog era and birth of internet rap. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.